This is Mr. Owen. We're going to be making the stack text sign on this tutorial. We're going to be making this using vCarve Pro 9.5, and of course we'll have your name showing in the sign on two different levels. It'll look something like this. So I'm going to close this and I'm going to open up a new file. So start by pressing create a new file. Alright, this page right here is not the correct size that we're going to be doing. So let's change the job size over here on the left. Your X width measurement will be 8. Your height, Y, will be 4. And we'll leave thickness, we'll leave that at 0.5. Okay, and you can hit OK. Okay, so there's your page. That's the size of the piece of wood that we're going to be cutting from for your side. Next up, we're going to draw a profile, a rectangle, two of them. Okay, let's start by pressing Draw Rectangle. The anchor point of our rectangle, we want to make that right in the very center of our screen. So let's put that at X is 4 and Y will be 2. That should be the very center of your page. Change the actual size down below of the rectangle to be 7 wide and 3 tall. You can hit the create button when you're ready, and your rectangle should be centered right there. If that doesn't turn out correctly, pause the video, go back and retry this until you get this correct. Okay, let's do a second rectangle. Okay, let's make it slightly larger. All right, we're going to make it 7.5 and 3.5. Okay, and you can leave the anchor point the same, hit create, and you should get a second rectangle. So we're going to have this outer border or be a profile that we follow, and the inner one will be a pocket that cuts out around the text. All right, moving along. All right, we're going to set up our text here next. So I need you to decide which of your names, your first or your last name, do you want to stick out on top, be your top text, and which one do you want to be down below. I'm going to do Mr. Tofar's sign here for this one. We're going to have Tofar be on top and Mr. Be down below. So let's get the draw text tool going right there. Okay, I'm going to type Tofar. Okay, I don't like the alignment of that, so I'm going to pick center right there. We can change the size of this too here in a moment. I don't like that font either. I'm going to go grab Arial. I'm going to scroll way up to the top, or near the top. Look for Arial, A-R-I-A-L, or some version of it. You could try Arial Black or one of the Arials right there. I'll be honest, Arials are one of the text fonts that work the best here with our machine. Some of the more interesting fonts don't turn out as well as you'd probably like when it's done cutting. All right, and that's good for now. You can hit close. All right, next up, go ahead and double click that text until you get these grips. I'm going to grab the corner grip and I'm going to resize this thing. All right, and I'm going to make this fill up most of that inner rectangle, but leave some space around it. I wouldn't get it too close to the rectangle. Okay, on my keyboard, I'm pressing the key up at the top middle part of your keyboard that's labeled F9. That's not two separate buttons, that's one button called F9. Okay, you can use your arrow keys to arrow this over to the center, just like that. All right, it's important that we have control over our text, our two different layers. So what I'm going to do here is I'm going to go up into this layer function up at the top. Go ahead and open that up. And would you hit add new layer? Do that twice. We're going to set up 3 total layers. Okay, and double click on that very first one, change layer 1 Would you make that be outer border? Second one can be inner border. Third one, let's make that be top text. T-O-P-T-E-X-T. And let's add a fourth one. And let's call it the bottom text. Okay. All right, let's get these all separated into separate layers here so we have control of these. Would you click on the outer border for me? So that's a single left click, so it turns pink, and then right click on it and say move to layer outer border. Okay, it might already be checked. Okay, but let's make sure of that. And you know it worked if you can go back here and turn the light bulb on and off. Okay, so yes, the outer border turns on and off, but other stuff goes with it, so we have to change those. Okay, so far so good. Click on the inner border for me with the left mouse button, and then right click to get the menu to pop up. Move to layer, inner border, right there. Okay, if you want to test that, you can turn the inner border on and off the light bulb. Okay, so far that's working. All right, next up is top text. So select your text that you have on your screen, your name, and right click on it. Move to layer, top text. Okay, and then go ahead and double check that that's working. So we've got our 3 layers thus far controlling separate objects. You can turn them on and off as you need. We just don't have bottom text yet. All right, so just to be safe, I'm going to turn off the 2 outer borders, so I've only got top and bottom text layers on at this moment. Okay, for the lower or bottom text, we need both your first and your last name. So in this case, I need Mr. and I need Tofar to go down to the lower text to make this whole sign work out. So I'm going to select my text, and you can do that. So it's a left mouse button, right click, and I'm not going to move it this time. I'm actually going to copy it down to the bottom text. So you should have, even if you turn off the top text, you should still have your text in the bottom as well. So check to see if that worked. Okay, so for me it did. All right, so now I need to add my other name. Okay, so for me it's Mr. You decide what the other name is for you. And I'm going to turn on inner border, and I'm going to draw that. Okay, and before you do that, make sure that bottom text is the active layer by clicking this little symbol right here. Right. Okay, that symbol, if you click back and forth, you'll see which one is active. So right now, bottom text is active, so anything I draw will land in bottom text for me. Okay, go ahead and hit your draw text function again. Click on that, type your other word. So for me, it's Mr. Should I add the dot or not? We'll see. I might delete that later. All right, and of course, you could change the height right here if you wanted to. See what you get, or you can do it the way I showed you earlier. Either way, I'm going to try 2, see if that works out. I suspect I'll have to stretch that out a little bit further. All right, I'm going to use the arrow keys. Yep, I need that to be just a little bigger yet, so I'm going to double click on it, and I need you now at this time to stretch your whatever the word is that's going to be on the bottom. Stretch it so it's tall, but don't make it so tall that it gets right up next to the border. Okay. And sometimes people squish these a little bit this way, so they make them tall but skinny. Just like that, so that it looks very much different than the text that's above it. Right there. Okay, whatever you do, do not change the top text. At this point, you will really mess things up. So I only adjusted the lower word right there. Okay, so let's double check that everything is correct here. Bottom text should still contain both words. Top text should just have the one word. Inner borders working, outer borders working. Okay, I'm going to turn bottom text back on, leave top text off. All right, now we're going to join these things together, called welding it. Okay, our machine does not read these words. It doesn't know what these letters are, so we have to change these from letters into lines. So follow me closely here. So pick one of your two words here on the bottom layer. Go up to this button with the T. It says Convert to Curves. Curves are lines. Click on that for me. Okay, it doesn't look like much happened other than it turned to dash lines. Before I let go of that selection, I want to group them together. So from Convert to Curves, slide down to Group and click that one. Okay, so what that did is the word, in my case, tofar, is no longer letters. These are all lines, and then I group them together. This is all one line that I've selected. It's not many lines. Okay, so the machine needs to see that in that format. So again, I hit Convert to Curves, and then I grouped it. Okay, let's do the very same thing for your other word. So for me, it's Mr. I'm going to Convert to Curves, and then hit Group. Just like that. Okay, so when I click on these individual words, they should all get selected. You can't tell that they're no longer words anymore, that they're lines, but we'll just have to trust it at this point. Okay, our last step here to making the bottom text work, I need you to drag a selection window around both words, but do not get the outer border. Okay. You can either select it that way. You could also hold the Shift key down and click on these individual words. And if you're holding Shift, that works. Select more than one. Okay, we're going to join these together by welding them. This is all going to be one object now when I'm done. So I hit the Weld button right here, and you'll see it blended all of that together. Okay, so that is what your bottom text layer should look like if all goes well. Turn it off. Here's top text with bottom text underneath. Okay, and so play around with the light bulbs a couple of times. Your upper text should be an exact match right to the word down below it. And the bottom text should also contain the second word right there. So if that didn't work out, if you have any mistakes, it might be worth deleting your text and going back and redoing that part of the video with me. Right there. Otherwise, I'm going to move forward here with this. Okay, I've got all four items turned on. Okay, so we're done drawing over here in the drawing world. We're going to hit this blue arrow, and we're going to switch over to the toolpath world. All right, so would you go ahead and hit this button? It says Arrange Views Horizontally. So you get both your drawing, and you're going to get a preview of what the machine will end up doing. Okay, at this point, the machine still doesn't know how to read this, so we have to turn our work here into usable information for the machine. All right, let's start off here by making the first toolpath. We are going to do a profile. Okay, click on the profile button and change the cutting depth to be 0.1. This is going to be a nice shallow cut, and we're just going to have the machine profile or follow the outer border. Right there. Okay, so select that. Change the tool to the very top one, end mill 0.125, and we're going to use that tool for everything that we do. All of these tool paths. Okay, so all of them have to have that same tool because that's what's in our machine out in the shop. Okay, scroll down and hit calculate down at the bottom. Right there, and you won't see much other than there's a line that the machine will follow. Like that. And if you hit preview visible toolpath, you should see just a shallow profile. Okay, that's all that is right there. Okay, our second toolpath is going to be our top text. Okay, so let's turn off bottom text in the layers menu. Turn off that light bulb. Okay, hold down the shift key on your keyboard. Select the inner border and select your top text right there. Okay, and then you can let go of shift. We're going to hit the pocket toolpath right there. Okay, once again, we're only going to go 0.1 deep for this pocket. For me, end mill 0.125 is already selected. If it's not for you, make sure that that is there. Scroll down, hit calculate, and you should see the paths of the tool cutting around the text, but not outside of the inner border right there. Okay, so verify that that looks right, and if you'd like to preview visible toolpath, go ahead, hit that. Okay, so far so good for me right there. Hit close, and we're going to do one more toolpath. And I just unchecked these boxes here to get that to turn off. I'm going to turn off the top text this time, that top text layer, and I'm going to turn on bottom text. Okay, so we're going to go a little deeper than the first layer. So we have to start down 0.1 inches deep at the beginning and go another 0.1 further in order to get the lower text to work out here. So let's make this happen. All right, so go ahead with your left hand, hold down the shift key on the keyboard, left click with your mouse on the inner border, and left click on your lower text. All right, I see I have a problem here that I do need to fix before I move on. For some reason, my lower text is not one big group. It's possible I forgot to do that. So go ahead and select around your text if it does that to you. Hit the back blue arrow right here, switch back to design, and I need to group that. Okay, our toolpath will not work if we don't do that. So make sure you group it. Okay, that looks good to me. So you might have seen me just make a mistake there just now that I had to correct. So I should be okay again. All right, so one more time here. Let's hold down the shift key, click on the inner border, click on the bottom text. All right, and hit the pocket toolpath. Okay, we are going to start 0.1 inches deep already, right there, and go another 0.1 deep, right there. So both of those are 0.1 on this one. End mill 0.125 still. Down to calculate, like that. Okay, and the machine, you should see all these arrows and lines going around all of your text and inside of the inner border. Okay, that looks correct to me. And let's hit preview visible toolpath. Okay, if all goes well, you should be able to see both of these words right there, the upper and the lower text. Okay, if you want to see the toolpaths down in the preview view here, you can check those. Like so, you should have 3 different toolpaths working for you, 1 profile and 2 pockets. Okay, if that's all good, you can hit close. Okay, we're going to save this thing. Hit save toolpath right here. Check the output all visible toolpaths to 1 file. Check that for me. You should see them all show up right here. If you get an error message, that means you need to go back, double click on your toolpaths and make sure that you have end mill 0.125 selected for each one of them. If they're different, you'll get an error message there. For post processor, that is the Axiom HHC, and you should see a .mmg file. That is the type of file that our machine in the shop reads. And hit save toolpath, and go out to student share, East Junior High, Tech Ed, Omen, go to your hour, and save that in the ready to be cut folder. Okay, and that is the end of our project right there.